podcast. He's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minutes!
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minute of the Phantasm. This is the podcast where it's our business to always ask what bodes for Bruce Wayne's alter ego, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to sort things out with your father, it's your other host, John Parker.
That could be potentially interpreted as some sort of very British double entendre. And I'm not going to get into it right now. But
No, you can take it any way you like.
I never understood that as a phrase of the whole "how's your father" thing, but it was a thing I just heard when I was a kid. I just never, I've never questioned why people say that. But
yeah, same. And I am English.
Yeah,
So, you know.
But we have, of course, today a guest, someone who's not English, not at least as far as I'm aware. Anyway, I don't think she's English, but yeah, allow her to introduce herself as a newbie to the show.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Shin. I basically help people play, I help organizations play, and I'm also a creator. And it's a lovely treat to be here today.
Oh, it's always happy to have some new blood in the Bat Minute cave.
Yeah,
It sounds like a cult.
For us. It basically is at this point.
That's right. And of course, you have signed those documents, signing up all your money to us, and your robes are in the mail. So
We're on the up with a new Scientology.
if we can make a mere fraction of Scientology, we'll be set for life. God damn it! But
I can't remember if I've ever mentioned this on the show. I tried to go into the Scientology place in Edinburgh just for a laugh. I thought it'd be funny, like to do the test, and my partner at the time was like, absolutely not.
Wait,
No.
what do you mean by the test?
Oh, they make you do a test.
Oh yeah, the personality test where you have to hold the little tin cans, and it's like tin cans attached to string, and then they're reading your thetans and stuff, and it's like
Yeah, and all your energies and stuff, and they tell you what you need to do to fix your life.
yeah.
Whoa.
I remember walking past the Scientology Center in London, and it was very intimidating because it's like a big marble, hallway and this huge iron crest and this very angry-looking man in a suit glaring at me, as if they were, come on in and take the test and try to take the piss out of us. You're going you walk out with your teeth in a basket.
Oh god, maybe that's what my partner was worried about. So I was just like, okay, fine, I'll listen to you.
Yeah, don't lose your teeth.
Yeah. Although my teeth are going through again, that's just the signs of aging. My teeth are all going now, but. Anywho, we're here today to talk about minute 52 of Mask of the Phantasm, and it begins with Bruce basking in a blast from the past, and ends with Bruce thinking about the future. I'll obviously edit in a gunshot sound effect there for the obligatory 89 Batman callback that phrase brings up.
By the end of it, I mean, it's gone from like, a happy couple to one part of said couple being like, nah, not feeling it.
Really? Oh, that's not the way I interpret this minute at all.
Okay.
We'll
get there then.
Wow. But yeah, we usually would ask Shin about the guest's history with Mask of the Phantasm. But yeah, like what is your history with this film?
The history would be non-existent. So it was like my first time. When I watched the minute, I actually didn't watch the movie yet. So I was just like picking up on body language cues and like animation cues, like, what's happening here? And then I did watch the whole movie, so I feel like I have some context.
Okay. I was wondering going in, it was like, this is going to be an interesting minute if you have literally no idea what the hell's going on with any of it.
We've done it before. Don't worry. We like to get people of all different, familiarity, and some people don't even watch the film.
Yeah, totally.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I do sense some of what John's saying, where it's like happy couple in the beginning. I'm not sure if only one of them was into it at the end. I feel like both of them were kind of like, all right, I think we have to go our separate ways. That's what I took away.
Really? Oh, wow. I did not. Yeah. Diametrically opposite opinion.
This is exciting. This is
that
never
was 100%. I've always been 100% like, this is Bruce Wayne considering giving up in Batman again, because he's like, this is Andrea's back. Like, I don't think I need to do this anymore. Like that was always. But hey, we'll get to that section in a minute. Let me. But what's your history with Batman in general, though, Shane? Because it's quite like intriguing. Like I know you because you do like YouTube content. And it's kind of about like people becoming like their best selves, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
All about, you know, discipline, and like you kind of do like, I was gonna say like you do like experiments on yourself, but not in an Egon like drilling a hole in your head kind of way.
Yeah,
like
it sounds like I'm a mad scientist for sure.
Yeah. But
no,
in many ways,
like,
it's like you're like the closest we'd have to like an actual. You're like Batman in terms of self-discipline, but without the brooding and the trauma. Although, yeah, I don't know, maybe you do brood and have loads of trauma. I can't say, but you don't convey that anyway in your content.
yeah, you've picked up on something really interesting, right? Like this whole like past trauma, like really, you know, grounded purpose. Like Bruce kept saying, like, I made this vow. I feel like with the greats, and I don't put myself in that bucket. I feel like I'm on the pursuit of, you know, bettering myself. But with the greats, they need to have this like one soul mission, it feels like, and almost coming from that traumatic background, so that they keep putting themselves on the, you know, pressure pedal, and they're like, all right, I gotta go. I gotta do this. This is my only mission on Earth. I definitely feel that energy with Batman. But my history is like all the new movies, all the new stuff after 2010, we'll say.
No?
Yeah.
Okay,
so anything before that is like I don't know what's going on.
Oh, correct. Because like to me, like I in my mind, the new movies are still like the Christian Bale Batman movies, even though that's 2 Batmans ago now. So
yeah,
there's too many Batmen. Please eliminate 3.
So you're saying like anything post 2000, like 2000, like The Dark Knight was 2008. So you're saying even after that, you're that's where you're coming.
Yeah, like Dark Knight wasn't a big deal for me when it launched. I watched it later, much later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I'm intrigued in getting you on in terms of like looking into Bruce Wayne as a character with like a mastery of self-discipline, and is if you can use him like, oh, you should be an aspirational character, or if you'd be more of the opinion of like, oh no, this man is clearly unhinged and he's a terrible example for people, because he does have this whole thing about like he basically dehumanizes himself in order to create the person he becomes. So there is no Bruce Wayne. There's only the symbol and the mask of Batman, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, when I first saw The Minute hop on, I was like, whoa, they're rich. So, I mean, the fact that Bruce Wayne almost dedicates his life to this like noble cause, let's say, to save the city, I feel like that is aspirational, like that classification of self, or like devoting yourself to a cause. But the fact that he comes from such a lavish background, I think that is unattainable for a lot of people.
Yeah, because I've seen people try to like use him as like an aspirational character, because it's like Batman, his whole thing is like, if you can just like control your body and control your mind and like let go of fear, then you can become Batman. And it's like, he's a billionaire. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. Like, it's not as if like, oh, you can go out and make the $1 billion. It's like, I'm pretty sure you can't do that either. Like, there's a select few people in the world who have managed to accomplish that, and most of it's not been from like, oh, it came from nothing, and now I'm the top of this thing, you know?
Well, are you discrediting the American dream?
It might be that I am, yeah.
Oh.
We can do that. I think you're a Canadian, right, Shin? So I think we're okay to do. All right.
Discredit the American dream. Yeah.
Well, we're all in the same kind of ballpark then. That's fine. Screw you, America.
Yeah, common enemy. I mean, what I'll say is like, the pursuit of greatness is really a lonely one, right? Like, even you see that battle in this movie. It's very much like, do I do this or this? I can't do both, because it's almost like an all-consuming, everyday pursuit, and not just, you know, mastery of body and mind, but in this situation, emotional, maybe even spiritual, right? Because you're talking to people who have died, and you're like, I made a vow. You feel like tied. It was very complex in that way. Yeah.
There's like a lot of that too, is like Batman's his self-mastery goes into like extreme emotional control as well, because it's like he feels very passionately, but he also keeps it under, like his whole thing is fueled by rage and like the quest for justice and revenge for, you know, the trauma of his parents dying. Yet like he doesn't like go off half-cocked. He's funneling it all into like one direction. And kind of has like it's weird that he's like, he feels so passionately, yet does have incredible self-control as well. It's like a...
But that makes it sound really positive to me. Like, that seems like something, if you're super passionate, that's a good way of handling it. But we see that it kind of comes out in often negative ways with Batman.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it go throughout this movie. Him literally like, okay, so my fiance left. I guess I gotta go down to the cave now and put on this mask. And like, dude, there's other ways you can do the things, right?
No,
Yeah.
Men will build a Batcave instead of seeking therapy.
Totally. I feel like the Batmobile, like he did have that attractive magnetic pull towards the Batmobile in one of the scenes where it was like, it was there. And then he was like, I'm not listening to you anymore. I gotta go see this beautiful, majestic machine here.
Yeah. I've seen because I've looked into a little bit to like people using Batman as an aspirational figure. And I remember one of the things they came up with was like, oh yeah, because one of the great things about him is that he seeks the dark. He's altruistic rather than egotistic, and so it's never about self-glory. It's always about like he'll stay in the shadows, doesn't want any credit. At the end of Batman Begins, it's like I never said thank you, and you'll never have to. And it's all like, oh, it kind of works in the Chris Nolan version, where it's like, oh yeah, he's not egotistical at all. But then at the same time, it's like, well, he puts that bat symbol over everything, and. He does seem to regard himself as a bit of a big shot too. Like in this movie, like we had his whole. He does seem to be a little bit in love with himself, and he's all like, have you kept your vow so far? And like rubbing his chin and stuff. Like he kind of has a little bit of like, I think there's a little bit of ego in there as well. I don't know if that's a true statement to be like, oh, it's such a great thing to be like entirely Well, I suppose in theory it is like entirely altruistic without anything for yourself. Without trying to placate your own ego in any way?
Well, no, I think that's negative as well. You need to look after yourself and your own ego a little bit.
Yeah, because we do it in those Nolan movies. Like he takes on the blame for murdering people, even though he didn't do it. It's all about like it doesn't seem to need it never seems to need validation from anybody else. It's always like, oh, Batman's willing to shoulder whatever comes at him, and just for the needs of the many, and it's never for any kind of like. This never seems to be for any validation from outside, but I don't know what he's doing internally in terms of self-validation of like by taking on that blame. Is he's like, yeah, that's an ego boost because he's like, I'm doing all this for the people.
Oh, absolutely, it will be, yeah. Because if you don't do anything for yourself, it'll break you. Like absolutely, you can't just look after other people. You'll fall apart.
Totally. And that's the thing with characters, though, too, right? It's like. You kind of want that perfect mix of relatability, but then also that percentage of, oh, this is the 1%. That's why this matters, and that's why we're watching it. Because it's like how you unleash your greatness. You have to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. So in that case, like nobility, maybe humility, maybe killing your own identity and having a whole new one. Like that's not an everyday thing.
I do it twice a week.
Just sort of sometimes on a Sunday morning, just to screw things up. But I mean, like even at the beginning of the minute though, we have beautiful shot of Andrea Beaumont sitting out with a cup of presumably tea, staring at the Gotham Bay or wherever it was. Like the thing is too, because we know Gotham's such a hellhole. It looks like a very romantic view, but it's like that water is probably like. Full of like chemicals that criminals have tried to use to like plague the city. Fear gas is in there. Joker
mutant fish.
Yeah, freaking killer crocs swimming around in there somewhere.
It's like the River Mersey here in Liverpool.
Yeah. It's like Bruce, do you want to take a dip? It's like, oh, you can't swim in that water. Your skin will literally fall off.
Well, that's like Lake Ontario here. Honestly, one time I was swimming on my birthday, and it was there was literally like. Pieces of shit on me because flies were attracted to me, and it was all bird shit. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh no.
But yeah, as you said though, Shin's it's a real like, oh, this guy's rich.
Yes.
I like the way you were positive though, Niall, at the start of this. Like, oh, this lovely shot, and it is a lovely shot. But all I could think of is like, oh, this is the awkward morning after. I know he has a nice smile and they're all happy, but it's still a bit weird. Like, okay, yeah, we kind of did that thing last night.
Reading of this whole thing is completely counter to my. Like, I'm thinking this is a very lovely, tender moment where he's like, the love of my life is back.
Yeah, he's looking at her like on this one. Yeah.
I'm an awkward individual. I'm an awkward person with anxiety issues.
That's so am I, but I'm just like, in this fictional scenario here, it's like this guy, this is everything he wanted has come true again. Like, the love of his life has come back. She's explained why she left him. It wasn't anything personal.
Yeah.
It was, it was all dealing with this gangster thing, and now he, as Batman, can deal with that, go in and catch the bad guys, and he's like, things are changing. Things are looking... It's literally a man who's usually enshrouded in darkness in a cave coming out into the light for the first time in ever since his parents got shot or whatever.
What a perfect ending in that scene. Could have been a perfect ending if it was just a love story.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's why the movie works so well. Is it's such a tragedy at the end, but it's like, yeah, he was real close there for a second, but no, things are not. So yeah, it comes out in. Andrea's got a cup of tea, presumably made by Alfred. Maybe she has her own Alfred. She's also rich. So, for all we know, there's a butler slinking around there that we just haven't been introduced to.
But her butler would be a coffee person.
You think so?
Yeah. Alfred's the tea guy. You can't have another tea guy in Gotham.
But isn't tea just a very British thing, though?
Well, exactly, and that's what Alfred brings to the table. There can't be two English butlers.
You think it could be she has a Frederick, a really posh English guy in there with her, and Alfred's down aggressively dusting. Trying to upstage me in my own manner, will you?
Or a French butler or something. I don't know what they would serve though. A little dash of something in the tea.
Maybe. Definitely, I don't know. French. I think coffee.
Yeah, fair.
If only she had a croissant, then we'd know for sure. She's doing that classic thing though, classic movie thing, of she's wearing Bruce Wayne's oversized shirt. I went back and checked that this is not. It's similarly colored to her dress, but it's definitely supposed to be his shirt because he's wearing it later in the minute.
Yeah,
which is also weird because the last time we saw him, he was in a torn Batman outfit. So. I kind of feel like it should be more the cliche is always the morning after the night before will be oh yeah, the lady's wearing whatever the guy had there, and we recognize that's what he was wearing when they hooked up. So she should be theoretically out there in the torn Batman outfits, which I would also take. I would be covered in blood and just rip the shreds and stuff. But no, they've done this. And I don't think it's I've never come across it in real life though. But Shin, you recently were married there.
Yes, I am. Just very, very recently.
Yeah. Do you ever wear your husband's oversized shirts when waking up in the morning? Or?
I do. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, he's 6'3" and I'm 5'3", so they're quite long.
Nice. You could maybe alter them into a dress at some point for yourself. There you go.
I could, yes. Yeah, he's got some pretty mean sewing skills, so.
That's just one of those things. No, the movies. Cause
Imagine Batman sewing a dress for Andrea, though. It's this is my peace offering. This is what I'll do forever now. I retired.
I could imagine he's quite good, a good seamstress, let's call him. Him and Alfred, because they're presumably making all of his gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Batman doesn't have it all outsourced to a secret department at Wayne Enterprises, does he?
Yeah, well, I think we've seen him in definitely seen Christian Bale sewing up his own wounds and stuff too. So he seems to have the skill. So I think it might depend on the Batman because a lot of them would be just oh no, Alfred will take care of that. I wouldn't know how to sew, and then other ones are very much yes, I know, of course I know how to sew. What if I'm out and about and I got an open wound and I need to patch myself up then and there, so. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think if you grow up a billionaire, you just pick up all of these skills because I feel that's all you're doing. You're just learning skills.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They have the luxury of time because they don't have to be doing anything. So you can learn 1,000,001 things that normal people haven't got the time to learn.
It's did either of you see The Brothers Bloom?
No.
It was Ryan Johnson. It was Ryan Johnson's second movie. Ryan Johnson, of course, infamously made The Last Jedi, and he made Knives Out and stuff like that in the more recent years. And the Brothers Bloom's more in the vein of Knives Out actually, but it's an old fashioned con man movie where Mark Ruffalo and Adrian Brody are pulling fast ones on people. It's set in the 30s or something, and they try to con Rachel Weisz.
Oh yeah,
and she's a multi-millionairess, and then. You see a montage of all the things she's learning to do in her spare time because she's rich and doesn't need to work. So it's her juggling chainsaws and like learning how to be like a lion tamer and stuff like that, and just like their whole thing is like eccentric millionairess who just doesn't need to work. So all the time in the world to do the craziest crap, basically. She could have become Batman if she wanted to, I guess. If she had the drive to actually, or the whether it's drive or the trauma is necessary in order to engage the drive.
I feel like it has to be. Or you need to create it.
Like go and shoot your own parents in an alleyway.
Well, no, not like that crazy, but more like, just go through some like character building hardship, I think.
Yeah. It's like enforcing it upon yourself, though. It's like, I just need to go out and find some good old-fashioned trauma.
That's like David Goggins, right? It's like the perfect example. Think about, I've had a bunch of hardship in life just from his own existence and where he was living, but then now in a state where like he creates it so that he remembers the trauma.
Yeah. But yeah. And so I love this little interaction, though, of when Bruce comes out and they sort of, they embrace on the veranda and whatnot. First she asks, can we make it work this time? And I'm like, I don't know. You left. Like, he was willing to make it work the first time. Everything was going to work the first time. It was you who cleared off, lady. But
I don't think they can. I think it's too far beyond now. And I know that's Bruce's thing of, can I, can't I, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think he can. Everything's changed. Every single thing. How would it work now? How would they change their life? He's just going to stop being Batman all of a sudden. And she's going to stop being a murderer.
I agree that it wouldn't work this time, but I think it's entirely because she's not telling him the truth. Like, she's hiding all that. And I love that little... Like that interaction gives me chills every time where he's like, what's going to have to come down between me and your father. And she kind of like hides her face away and says like, Daddy doesn't matter anymore.
And she had an evil look too.
It's very malevolent when you know the context of what it is. So like, because I guess you watched like the minute first, Shin, before you watched the movie. Like, do you remember thinking there was a drastic context change from when you saw it individually by itself? Did you think that was like a perfectly innocuous statement? Or did you pick up on it being like, that seems very shifty, the way she said that? Or?
There were 2 moments where I was like, the vibes with her just don't feel like all good and positive and love. It felt like she was conflicted or she had another plan. The look on her face when she like hides her face in his let's say bosom, it was like very clear that something else was going on in her mind. And then the second time was when they were kissing and she was in her car, and then like her elbow hit the honk, and it's like hit the horn. It's like, was that like just fate being like, something's not right here, or was that her purposefully doing it so that she could get out of it? I didn't know.
That's good. Actually, one of my notes was like, what is the purpose of the honk? So I was just like, why did they put in that honk? But the way you're saying it, it's like been like a universe warning sign.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take on it. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. But yeah, I just love that the context of that line though, because she's kind of feeding him like, I'm back to stop my dad because it's totally him, and her kind of going like, oh yeah, you can take care of it. Daddy doesn't matter to me anymore. But we know when she says Daddy doesn't matter anymore, it's because he's dead. Is what she's trying to say. And yeah, the kind of shifty. Yeah, I don't know if it's not like a malignant face she's doing. It's not that evil, but it is very like underhanded kind of. And it's but I love that. I love that as a moment. I think it's really, really well done.
I also like how.
Sorry, go for it.
I also like how it's interesting, because if this was just a straight up romantic movie, it wasn't like a superhero kind of thing. Maybe he's having problems with her dad in a business sense, and it's like, we're gonna have to sort that out, so we can be together, kind of thing. That would be the usual kind of story, but in this, it's like there's the added aspect of Bruce thinks that the dad is a murderer and a criminal.
Yeah.
that might kind of put a strain on things. Not even, ignoring the actual truth that he doesn't know. He's already got a problem there.
it's weird too because he's basically saying like, well, I gotta go like beat the crap out of your dad
And put him away.
put him away for like life probably. and this is self-appointed. Like I don't have to do this, but you understand that I am definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
It's an odd scenario to be in. But I think the major oar in it is that like she is feeding him this lie, him going like, oh, what it needs to come down between me and your father. And she knows. It's like, well, it's not my dad. It's me the whole time. It's. I think that's the bit. But in my mind, it's like, oh, Bruce is 100% in, and he will become dedicated to Andrea. But yeah, I'm surprised that you feel the other way. But maybe I've been misinterpreting this the whole time.
No, you're just optimistic. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what was interesting, too, from, like, a color choice, because at the end of the day, it is an animated movie, and, like, everything they do probably has some kind of reason. Most leading ladies, and this is especially, like, in the 90s or maybe even before then, you would just expect them to have blonde hair and blue eyes. She's got red hair. And so it's like, ooh, it's like fiery, she's passionate, there's something about her that's got, like, wild card energy, which is why, like, if we were trying to be optimistic, Bruce they both are leaders in their life. And I feel like in a relationship, sometimes you can't have that. You kind of need one to be a bit more supportive than the other, especially if you're trying to get to greatness like both of them are in a way. They're unless they have the same goal, your goals are just going to conflict because it's going to be like, well, I want to do this today. It's like, well, I want to do that today. Okay, well, then I guess we meet for dinner. And then you only meet each other at the end of the day or something. I don't know. I feel like lives would become parallels.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Watching it in the year 2023, Shin, like coming to it with fresh eyes. Did you buy at any point the red herring of it being her dad? Like, were you sitting the whole movie being like, no, it's clearly her? Or were you shocked at the end when she takes off the outfit and it was Andrea the whole time?
So I had a feeling that she was involved. I didn't know that she was the main bad guy. Yeah, I definitely thought it was a dude. I didn't think it was going to be a woman. But then when the Joker was like, I think he said something like lady or her, or he said something with her gender. And I was like, oh my God, it's her. And then, reveal. And it was like, it was pretty shocking. It was a pretty shocking moment. Yeah.
Well, that was good. It's nice to know that the twist still works.
It totally does.
Yeah, I think it works because it doesn't sow too many seeds that stand out. It feels like it makes sense when it's revealed. It doesn't feel like it's out of nowhere. But at the same time, unless you comb through like we are, you don't see a lot of the hints really.
Yeah,
which is clever. It's good.
Well, I guess like this minute by itself, like. I don't know if anyone, again, like the daddy doesn't matter anymore, and that the facial expression.
Yeah.
I never would have picked up on that. I was like, but only now. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. That's totally. I would have, a second watch through, I'll be like, oh yeah, that line means something, but I wouldn't have picked up on how, well animated they've done her face in that instance. Like, it's totally the, Tyler Durden and Ed Norton having the same briefcase in Fight Club. It's like, get it? It's the same guy and stuff.
Well, I always fall for this stuff, though. I didn't see it coming in Fight Club. I didn't see it coming in any of these movies.
Of course, us both walking out of the Flash and me being like, so you knew who that guy was straight away, right? Like, you've been like, nope.
I just believe what I'm being told and shown, okay?
Weird that I'm the optimistic one in this minute.
So then you're the naive one, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, we watching a film, don't trust anybody.
I know, I shouldn't. I'm a wrestling fan from the 90s, and that was Steve Austin always said, don't trust anybody. He had it on his jacket, DTA. And I didn't learn.
Plus, with wrestling, they're not constantly doing heel turns. You can't trust any of them because they could just turn into a bad guy for no reason.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
I know. In my day-to-day life, I don't trust anyone. It's movies. I don't know. I get sucked into the tale that I'm being told.
Yeah.
I like a good story.
That's nice.
What about you, Shin? Are you like more of a paranoid kind of person, or are you willing to believe that all people are good and no one might turn out to be the Phantasm without you expecting it?
Honestly, I'm kind of like John in the sense that I've been like gullible, naive like my whole life with people in real life. But then after, adulting and then kind of seeing the way that the world works and the way everybody cares so much about money and the way people have ulterior motives, it's like, okay, you should probably have a guard up, just for your own safety. And that's sort of a newer, I would say, adult mindset that I've adopted.
Fair enough. Just maybe check that. I know you've recently married, but you might want to just check around in case he's got like a Phantasm mask somewhere. And you see any smoke bombs lying around?
Yeah.
Listeners, make sure you keep an eye on all your partners from now on. There's nothing
Check their
creepy and
closet.
weird. Yeah. They won't get angry and dump you for doing it. No, unless they are a phantasm.
It's like only a Phantasm would get upset with me holding around in the wardrobe.
And you'd know beforehand because you were already cautious. So win-win.
Yeah.
It's not intrusive.
Should note, in this part of the novelization of Mask of the Phantasm, we actually get a little additional scene, and it's a cameo from one Dick Grayson. Appears like he doesn't walk in like when like Alfred walked in and Bruce and Andrea when they were going at it, and Dick like, "Hey Bruce, I'm back!" Whoop, and walking straight back at. Not quite that. I wish that was the cameo, but
yeah, because then it could be like The Room, with Denny when he walks in. And I just like to watch you guys.
Yeah, this is Dick crawling in the bed with them. It's like, Dick, we go out crime fighting together, but some things I have to do alone. Okay.
Oh boy.
No, there's just after, it's actually, the cameo would have been immediately before this. Like when Alfred walks out of the room, the phone starts ringing, and he goes down and sets it down. It's Dick on the phone. And he says, this is a little quick scene, I'll just kind of read out the gist of it, where he says, how is he, Alfred? Is he okay? Because this, of course, it was all over the news that Batman was getting freaking chased and stuff by the police. And Alfred says, "Quite well, Master Dick. Aside from the customary near-mortal injuries routinely suffered by persons with your, shall we say, less than prudent avocation." And there's a pause, and then Dick says, "You did say he was all right somewhere at the beginning there, didn't you?" And Alfred says, I did indeed, Master Dick. The wounds have been cleaned and the bandages are in place. No need to be over-concerned with Master Bruce's physical condition. Dick says, "That's a relief. I'm in the middle of exams, but the TV made it sound pretty grim. And I could be out of here like a shot if you guys need me." But wait a minute. What do you mean about physical condition? Is there something going on with Bruce's head? Alfred replies with, "Nothing for which a cure currently exists, I'm afraid."
Oh.
And then Dick replies, "Why are you being so mysterious about this, Alfred? Is Bruce okay or not? Can I talk to him?" And Alfred says, "I would advise against it at the moment. The young lady and he seem to have some catching up to do, as the phrase goes."
Oh, okay.
Dick responds, "Young lady? Oh, I get it. Which one is it this time, Alfred? Or do we even know her name yet?"
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Alfred says, "Most assuredly we do, Master Dick. The young lady's name is Andrea Beaumont." And Dick is like, "Oh, Andrea. Like, that's going back way before I even knew Bruce. What you doing back in town? How is Bruce taking it?" Alfred says, "I cannot say what Miss Beaumont's purpose is in returning to Gotham City. And as for your second question," and Dick says, "Yeah, I shouldn't have bothered to ask. When are we ever going to know what's really going on inside Bruce?" And Alfred responds, "Precisely, Master Dick." And then that's the end of the scene. But it's nice to get a little catch up with Dick Grayson because he was a big part of the animated series.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that. I can see why they cut it because it's all information that we already infer in the movie. But it's just nice to know where he is, what he's doing. It's like, oh, okay, he's busy with exams. That actually makes sense that Bruce would say, "No, you've got to go and do that. Then you can come back to me."
Yeah, and though he would be checking up on his buddy and stuff, and he is, of course, again doing that thing of like giving out information that like, not only does the audience know it, but Alfred knows it. They've been like, "Andrea Beaumont, like that's before I even knew Bruce," and Alfred had been like, "Well, yeah, I was here. I'm in the flashbacks with him. Like, what do you want from me?"
And everyone watching has seen all those damn flashbacks. They know.
"You remember that time they went to the world of tomorrow, Alfred?" Like, "Yes, we all know about the world of tomorrow."
That's the thing. I can see why it's not in the movie.
Yeah.
But I also, just as a fan, I kind of wish it was just to get more Dick I have to be careful with that wording there.
But what's your opinion of Robin in general, though, Shane? Because you're quite like a bright, peppy, optimistic person. Although I noticed in your videos your uniform is all in black. So, like I always said, like you might be quite the Robin fan because he's like bright, peppy, optimistic character in doing the same mission as Batman, but going at it through a more positive world outlook. But then I guess maybe your black work attire is like, no, you're trying to shroud yourself in the shadows.
Yeah, I mean, I love an optimistic mindset. I think like it really changes the game in terms of like how you feel, how you approach things. So for me, like thumbs up for Robin for sure. My black attire is more just for like ease, because when I started the entrepreneurship journey, it was like, I'm spending a lot of time making important decisions, and the last thing I need is another decision on what to wear, because that can take a whole half hour, right? Especially if you try to like mix and match, you're trying to make a statement. I love color, and I have a lot of color in my wardrobe too, but this was a form of like self-discipline, restraint, practicing all of those things to see how I fare. And then when I go out in the evening with like family and friends, it's all color for me. So it's like work is like put your head down, get done. And then the color comes out.
It's nice to have like a differentiation between like work clothes and your fun clothes.
Yeah.
Because you think, wouldn't it be great to just wear what I want to work? And actually, it's a bit of a stress. I like it, It
always makes me think of I don't know if you've seen The Fly, the Jeff Goldblum version of The Fly, Shin.
I think I may have. This is like is this the like genetically modified situation?
Yeah, it's the one where like he goes into
I've seen it.
Yeah, well, it was with Canada's own David Cronenberg. Of course, you're all required to watch his entire back catalog, I'm assuming.
By law, yeah.
But no, he has a bit in the beginning where, like, when he brings Gina Davis back to his, his warehouse / apartment kind of thing that he lives in, works in. And she notes that like his wardrobe is all the same tweed jacket, the same shirt, the same red tie and stuff. And he has the thing. It's like, yep, that's I wear that every day because it just saves time thinking about what I'm doing. And I literally just a fresh one straight off the rack, and it's just like it frees up like an extra 5 minutes of the day kind of thing. And that's him as just a guy working in a place by himself. Like you're having to go out and, of course, meet people. And so you feel a little, need to maybe dress up a bit more. So, yeah, you'd be spending even more time trying to put outfits together. So, yeah, it's a good...
for sure. Yeah, and there's so many choices as a woman, I feel like, too. It's like there's different blouses, and then there's different fabrics, and then there's different tones. But for me, like, my work is play. So even though I don't get to be playful with what I wear, I am, like, outputting playful things all the time. So it's like, it's a nice balance.
But yeah, Shin, I would just, if you go back to work attire and Robin, if you if you want to work a yellow cape into your work outfit and maybe some red and green.
Hey, I have a yellow jacket and I wear it all the time, so I love it. Yeah, so the base is black, but then my shoes are bright red, and I have like.
Yeah, you're already halfway to Robin there with
these are all Robin colors.
I just need a bright underwear, I guess.
Although speaking of red, we of course then cut to Andrea in her little red Corvette, which could may or may not be a reference to Prince. Who's to say? But
I'm going to assume it is. There's no evidence other than the color of the car. Don't care. It's a Prince reference.
I don't know cars really, but like it looks like a Corvette to me. It's like they like 4 years ago they had a massive Batman movie came out with a soundtrack by Prince. So it's like it's a little cheeky little reference there, little red Corvette.
It could be. I mean, you're speaking to the one person in the world who knows even less about cars than you.
It could also be a reference to Corvette Summer, which starred Mark Hamill and Annie Potts. Of course, Mark Hamill plays the Joker in this very movie. So.
Everything's connected.
Please tell me you researched this instead of just this information off the top of your head.
This information off the top of my head.
Yeah, let me confirm that to people, right? I've known now for many years. What is it now? 15 years or something. He just knows these things.
Incredible.
But I'm like, because I watched Corvette Summer like a couple of years ago too, because it's like Annie Potts is in Janine from Ghostbusters. And I love her so much, so it's just rattling around now. They're like, they made a movie together, and now here's a red Corvette in a Batman movie, and Mark Hamill's in this movie, and
Oh, but Andrea in the car, ready to leave, head back to her business. But these dirty dogs are so into their snog fest that she leans on the horn. Terrible. Come on, get a room, you two.
As I said, like that was one of my notes. Was just like, so what's the deal? Why did they put in this little thing with the horn? Is it just to show that they're so giddy that she's kind of lost, or again, like Shin said, it's like, maybe it's a little. The universe seems to be actively prodding Bruce in this film, like the whole thing of him trying to give up, going to the parents' grave, and then like the lightning striking when he asked, can I just give this all up and stuff, and then the fact
the
that
bats fly out when they got engaged.
Yeah, totally. So this could legitimately be like, her accidentally beeping the horn is the universe going, red flag. Man, this is bad. This lady, this is going to end badly. We're just telling you, but
I'm just picturing it to be like Twin Peaks then. Just all of a sudden he sees the giant going, no.
That'd be amazing. Of course, they go into Batman mode and he just like fling some batarangs at him or something. This is always like, when in doubt, just, this is a guy who friggin' decided just to fight Superman when he met him, because he's like, okay, I guess this guy's a potential threat to me. I better backflip him over my shoulder or whatever. But
he might be like an alien god, but whatever, let's fight.
Yeah, I mean that's an example of extreme discipline of like literally God has come down, shooting lasers out of his eyes and stuff. I better go start beating up a tire with a sledgehammer so I can get ready to fight him. Like that's pretty extreme, man.
It's quite alpha energy though too, if you think about it. It's like, no, there's no talking about this. There's no getting to. We just need to fight. Need to fight it out.
That's one of my. I remember as a kid been like really astounded. Because of course they have the Batman animated series, and then eventually there was a crossover with the Superman show, and it was called like The World's Finest. It was made. I think it was made as a three-parter, and then they released it as a straight-to-video film and stuff. But the first scene of Batman and Superman meeting is like Batman's fighting guys in a club or whatever, like an underground seedy nightclub, and Superman comes in and helps, and then he goes over and he says like, "Hey, pats Batman on the shoulder, kind of grabs him, and Batman just like takes his hand and flips Superman over the top of him into a table, and has the attitude of like, what are you gonna do?" It's like, he's Superman, you psycho. And I remember as a kid being like, why is Batman beating up Superman? And how is he doing this and stuff? But it's just his attitude. He had the vibe of like, try me, you want to come, you're gonna come in with your freeze breath, you're gonna find out, kind of thing.
Just bring it.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate alpha energy. It was like, I think it was the first example I remember seeing of like, okay, this is a guy dominating the situation, even though he's vastly outgunned. It's very impressive and also deranged.
It kind of reminds me of when Andrea visited him at home, and then she flipped him, right?
That's right.
When he was just like doing some practice, taekwondo or something, and then she flipped it. So it's like they're like equal matches from an energy standpoint, which is why it was doomed from the start.
Yeah, totally. We now get into that. Like, I've only ever interpreted this as been like, I thought he was very sincere in his like, I'll be here. Like, he's so happy that they're back, and then him going in, he's kind of dazed. It's like, oh my god, this is happening. And so when Alfred's like, well, how does this bode for your alter ego? And Bruce is like, I'm not sure, Alfred. I feel like it's kind of like that's. We've seen Bruce Wayne give up in Batman in a couple of films. Like Batman Forever, he does it. When he did it, it didn't feel like that was the end. You were just like, no, this is just a thing the films have to do sometimes. They have to have conflict, so they have to have a bit where he's like, Batman, no more. The Dark Knight, there's a bit where he gives up in Batman, and you're just like, we have to waste 10 minutes doing this. We know he's going to be again. I've seen the trailer. I've seen scenes after this where he's Batman again, so I know what's going to happen. But this is the only time. But I think it might be the strength of Conroy's performance, just entirely through vocal inflection. But he's that good. That I at least felt that like this is him genuinely conflicted on the point of being like, yeah, it might be over for Batman. I didn't see this coming, but like this is everything I wanted was for her to come back, for me to know what happened, and for her to know that it wasn't a thing that I did or that she hated me or something. It was the circumstances, and now everything's gonna work out great for me.
Well, I think the problem is though that's all true, which then makes him question everything. Sort of like, well, okay, I've got what I wanted, but can I really have that now? And is it what I want now? You know, he's like, oh, gee, it's very confusing, but in a good way. Because like the character is confused. You know, he says everything's happening so fast. And I agree, you know, she's just waltzed back in like nothing happened, really. Yeah. Can he just carry on like they were before? I think no. Even if he's not a bat now. Yeah.
That's what I would do. What would just become of Bruce Wayne? Because it's his entire purpose was always, since he was like 10 or whatever, was to become Batman.
He's got rid of the other part of himself.
Yeah. Will he just become like a slob? Like, would he still even go and work out and stuff? Because he's like, everything he does is like geared towards this one thing. And so him being like, you don't need to do it anymore. Will it just be like, okay, I'll sit in front of the TV and I'll just be a millionaire now, I guess.
I think it would kill him at this point.
Yeah. It just could be, it's like, I don't know what else. I can't stop doing this because it's all that I know.
Yeah. I think that's what would happen. He'd end up becoming Batman again, and it would be exactly what you see in all those other stories.
Yeah. It's like, I told you to hang up that. I can't. Don't ask me to not be a Batman, Adrian. Come on.
So what is the vow that he made to his family?
Just that he would avenge their deaths and make sure that it doesn't happen to other children. Like, just make sure a vow to stop crime.
Basically stop crime permanently. Yeah. There'll be no more crime ever when I'm done. Which is a crazy thing to... Who makes a vow anyway? Yeah, that's a bit strange. And also, like, you can't ever achieve this goal, Bruce.
Billionaires, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sticking to my guns. I don't think... I mean, I was deliberately being a bit harsh at the beginning, but I think he's torn completely. Like, he can't decide. I don't think he wants to give up Batman, but he doesn't want to give her up. So I think he's stuck. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to think or say. Alfred's right at the end when he says they clearly still love each other. But Bruce, of course, doesn't know the real her, the her she's now become. So...
Yeah, I agree. I think he's torn. He seems to be just like a younger version of himself and just like can't really have that decisive stake in the ground of this is who I am and this is what I want. And so Andrea, given that she's got her own agenda, is sort of driving that relationship apart as well. You know, even though they have that like chemistry and all of this love history, they both have other things to do. Yeah.
He does have a very depressed gait as he walks through the house. Look at him. That's really, it's highlighting the conflict. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm much more of an optimist than I thought. Then I'm just like,
yeah, I think you are, and I think that's nice. That's not a bad thing because
it's wonderful.
Yeah. It would be nice to think that something good would happen to Bruce, even though I still maintain that there's no way at this point. It's too late. Too much has changed.
Only if it's a fairy tale and they live happily ever after.
But Shin, we always do ask the guests though, because BTAS is referred to, Batman the Animated Series, was a very seminal part of like a lot of people of me and John's generation's childhood. And we're asking the guests like what their favorite cartoons were growing up too, just so to see what infused itself onto you when you were but a youngin'.
I mean, I feel like Cartoon Network, and then what did I watch? I watched like Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Tom and Jerry, of course. Yeah, like all of those ones come to mind.
I just really remember, like, Powerpuff Girls was on when I was, like, slightly, like, getting a bit too old for cartoons. And I remember, though, every time I was watching it in the morning, been like, this is great. Like, this is such a good show. Like, why would anyone give up watching things like this? This is
and, like, Dexter's Lab and stuff, right? It's all, like, chemistry, experimentation, superpower stuff, you know. You're the 1%, so you gotta do it. that sort of mindset.
Yeah, the Dexter's laboratory, just infusing the phrase "omelette du fromage" into an entire generation of people.
I was the same. I was technically too old to be watching those, but there was something about those two shows in particular where I was like, I can't stop watching these. Come on. And Nickelodeon had Invader Zim as well when I was, and I was like, this is great.
Same.
But yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Shin.
Thanks so much for having me. Like I said, the energy here is like a vibe. I really, really liked it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Before we do depart into the dark, dark night, Shin, would you like to tell people where you can be found online or promote anything that you have coming up or anything you like in general? Doesn't even have to be yours.
Sure. I mean, my whole message is really just like get more play into your lives. We're all getting quite serious. Mm-hmm. You can find me on YouTube at Shoshin Show. And yeah, that's where I'll be.
Yeah.
Creating content.
I know you do. Again, like you do like experiments in terms of like you'll try like meditation for 30 days or like have a whole thing about holding your breath and like all the breath play and stuff like that. Would you consider doing a video of like becoming a crime fighting vigilante for 30 days and see how that works out?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, given that I'm like a 5'3" person, I would probably need to exercise and like train myself on all of the martial arts. Maybe. Maybe then.
I mean, Robin also Robin's like a little kid. He's out fighting crime,
That's fair. I could be stealthy and ninja-y.
Yeah. Exactly. There's always upsides to this. Yeah.
It'd be stealth and ninja, and then people spot the red shoes, and I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, the red shoes gotta go.
See, that Batman's onto something wearing like all black or dark colors,
Yeah. Well, I would be like Mirror, You can't see me. It's like you just see yourself. That would be
amazing. Fantastic. Well, check the YouTube channel out, everybody, and come and speak to us on Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave, on Twitter at Batminute, Instagram the Batminute, and why don't you go to the our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon, where you can get bonus content to your delight, I guess. I hope so, anyway. I hope you bloody like it. We talked about The Flash. We've got a review of The Flash on there. It's like 2 hours long because we couldn't shut up about it. So go and listen to that as well. And we will see you again soon for minute 53 of Bat Minute of the Phantasm.
Next time, things are getting sketchy. As a love-struck Lancelot languishes in a romantic refractory, his eyes soon focus on some suspicious photography. Some doodling has our detective as mesmerized as a midnight toker. For across a familiar face flits a ghastly grin, the terrible smile of the Joker. Get your pencils sharpened for Wednesday Batmites, same Batpod, different Bat Minute.
Must have top, still fit,